10. Beautiful black actresses who became ugly due to plastic surgery. Then and now 2026. Hollywood celebrates beauty, but it has never been kind to time. Behind the glamour and applause, some of the most admired black women in entertainment faced a silent ultimatum: stay young or disappear. What happens when legends are pressured to rewrite their own faces just to remain visible? Today we explore 10 iconic women, their rise, their transformation, and the price fame demanded. This is not gossip. This is a conversation many avoid. Watch closely, listen carefully, and before you leave, share your thoughts. Subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence and join the debate that refuses to stay silent. Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams occupies a singular place in American cultural history. In 1984, she did not simply win the Miss America crown, she redefined it. As the first black woman to hold the title, her victory marked a seismic shift in representation during a decade still grappling with racial barriers. Her beauty was widely described as effortless, regal, and warm, but it was her composure under pressure that truly set her apart. That composure would soon be tested. Public controversy forced Williams to relinquish her crown, yet what followed was one of the most remarkable reinventions in modern entertainment. She transitioned into music with chart-topping success, earning Grammy nominations, and later built a steady acting career across film, Broadway, and television. Few performers have rebounded from public scandal with such discipline and longevity. As the years passed, Williams remained active in the spotlight well into her 40s and 50s, a rare achievement for women in Hollywood, particularly women of color. However, audiences began to notice gradual changes in her facial appearance. Smoothened skin texture, altered contours, and reduced facial movement sparked conversation. Though Williams herself has never publicly detailed specific procedures, what is clear is that no confirmed medical records or official disclosures exist, only visual comparison across decades of public appearances. Here lies the uncomfortable truth discussion around her appearance often overshadowed her accomplishments. Instead of headlines celebrating her continued success on Broadway or her acclaimed television roles, focus drifted toward speculation. At what point did survival in Hollywood become more important than authenticity in the eyes of the public? It is important to state plainly, Vanessa Williams has never admitted to excessive cosmetic surgery, nor has she endorsed extreme aesthetic alteration. Many visible changes can be attributed to professional makeup, lighting, weight fluctuation, and natural aging. Dermatologists routinely point out that high-definition cameras exaggerate even minor cosmetic adjustments, especially on mature skin. Yet the reaction to her then and now images reflects something deeper than physical change. Williams represents a generation of trailblazers who were never allowed to age quietly. While male contemporaries were praised for distinguished looks, women like Williams faced silent penalties for every visible year. Today, in her 60s, Vanessa Williams continues to work consistently, commanding respect for her voice, discipline, and resilience. Her legacy is not defined by symmetry or smoothness, but by endurance. She opened doors that cannot be closed again, regardless of how critics interpret her appearance. Perhaps the real loss is not the softness of a youthful face, but a society that struggles to value women once beauty evolves. Vanessa Williams remains a reminder that history remembers impact, not perfection. Vivica A. Fox. Vivica A. Fox emerged in the 1990s as a definition of confidence. Her presence on screen was sharp, seductive, and unmistakably powerful. When she appeared in Independence Day 1996, she didn't merely play a supporting role, she became a cultural moment. Soon after, performances in films like Set It Off, and later Kill Bill, cemented her image as a woman who commanded attention without apology. At her peak, Fox represented a kind of beauty that felt fearless. She was not molded to fit Hollywood's softness. Instead, she carried intensity, attitude, and intelligence in every frame. Yet as the industry evolved, so did its unspoken rules. Once she crossed into her 40s, opportunities began to narrow, not because her talent diminished, but because Hollywood's tolerance for aging women quietly expired. Unlike many of her peers, Vivica A. Fox chose transparency. In multiple interviews throughout the 2010s, she openly acknowledged undergoing cosmetic enhancements, including injectable fillers. She later admitted that some procedures went too far, famously stating that she wished she had exercised more restraint. These were not rumors or tabloid fabrications, they were her own words spoken with unusual honesty in an industry built on denial. This candor reframed her narrative. Rather than hiding behind silence, Fox allowed her experience to become instructional. She spoke openly about the temptation to fix what time changes, especially when casting calls slow down and younger faces dominate the screen. Visually, the shift was noticeable. Fuller cheeks, altered facial proportions, and moments of stiffness became talking points online. Yet what often went unmentioned was the emotional weight behind those choices. Cosmetic intervention in her case was not rooted in vanity, but in professional survival. In Hollywood, perception often outweighs performance. In recent years, Vivica A. Fox has taken deliberate steps toward recalibration. She has publicly reduced cosmetic treatments and embraced a more natural presentation. Her later appearances reflect a woman reclaiming balance, less sculpted, more expressive, and visibly at ease. That evolution speaks to growth rather than regret. Now, in her late 50s, Fox remains active as an actress, producer, and mentor. She continues to work steadily, particularly in independent films and television projects that value experience over illusion. Her journey offers something rare in celebrity culture: accountability without shame. Vivica A. Fox's story is not about losing beauty, it is about learning where it truly resides. The contrast between then and now is not merely physical, it is philosophical. She stands as proof that acknowledging mistakes can be more powerful than pretending perfection ever existed. Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams built her career on visibility. Long before daytime television made her a household name, she was already known in radio as a fearless voice, sharp, humorous, and unafraid to challenge powerful figures. When The Wendy Williams Show premiered in 2008, her larger-than-life personality became her brand. She was not polished or restrained. She was real, unpredictable, and commanding. Unlike many celebrities, Wendy never pretended to be untouched by cosmetic procedures. She spoke openly, often humorously, about breast augmentation, liposuction, and facial fillers. On her own show, she explained that these choices were part of maintaining confidence in front of cameras that scrutinized her appearance daily. Transparency set her apart in an industry built on concealment. However, as the years progressed, her physical changes became more pronounced. Viewers began to notice swelling, altered proportions, and reduced facial mobility. These transformations did not occur in isolation. Wendy's life outside the studio was unraveling in very public ways. Her marriage collapsed amid scandal, and she later disclosed serious health challenges, including Graves' disease and lymphedema. Medical experts have since noted that such conditions can significantly affect facial appearance and body structure independent of cosmetic work. At this point, aesthetic decisions appeared less about enhancement and more about control. When personal stability disappears, altering the exterior can feel like reclaiming power. When everything else feels unstable, wouldn't you want at least one thing you can control? Public reaction was swift and often cruel. Social media commentary focused heavily on her appearance, frequently ignoring the context of illness and emotional strain. Yet Wendy never fully retreated. She continued to show up, often unfiltered, even as her health declined. That persistence, while admirable, also exposed her to relentless judgment. By 2021, the toll became undeniable. Wendy stepped away from her show as her medical and cognitive issues intensified. In 2022, the program officially ended, closing a chapter that had reshaped daytime television. Subsequent reports confirmed that her struggles were far deeper than cosmetic choices, reframing earlier criticism through a more compassionate lens. Today, Wendy Williams' legacy is complicated but undeniable. She changed the tone of talk television, making space for candor where scripted politeness once ruled. Her physical transformation, often sensationalized, reflects a convergence of cosmetic intervention, chronic illness, stress, and constant public exposure. Her story challenges easy conclusions. Wendy did not lose herself to surgery alone. She was navigating fame, sickness, betrayal, and exhaustion simultaneously under a spotlight that never dimmed. The contrast between her earlier years and her later appearance tells a broader truth about what prolonged pressure can do to a person. Wendy Williams remains a symbol of visibility's double edge. Being seen can build an empire, but it can also cost more than anyone expects. LisaRaye McCoy. LisaRaye McCoy entered popular culture with an aura that felt effortless. When The Players Club premiered in 1998, her screen presence immediately stood out, not loud or exaggerated, but composed, alluring, and self-assured. She represented a form of glamour that didn't beg for attention, it simply held it. At the height of her early career, LisaRaye's appeal lay in balance, poise mixed with vulnerability, confidence, softened by grace. Her public image shifted dramatically in the mid-2000s when she married Michael Misick, then premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands. Overnight, she moved from Hollywood actress to international first lady. With that transition came a new level of scrutiny. Every public appearance was dissected, every photograph archived. When the marriage collapsed amid political scandal and legal investigations, LisaRaye found herself navigating not only heartbreak, but global attention she never sought. Following that chapter, audiences began to notice changes in her appearance. Sharper facial lines, heightened cheek structure, and a more sculpted profile sparked online discussion. LisaRaye has never released a detailed medical account of cosmetic procedures, and no verified records exist beyond speculation. What is known, however, is that she has openly spoken about the emotional toll of public judgment and the pressure to maintain a polished image after her highly visible divorce. In her case, aesthetic refinement appeared closely tied to reinvention. Returning to acting and public life meant reclaiming control over how she was seen. The industry, especially for women past their early 40s, rarely offers space for softness or transition. Appearance becomes strategy rather than expression. Over time, some fans felt her look drifted away from the natural warmth they remembered. Yet that reaction reveals more about audience expectations than personal choice. LisaRaye was no longer the young woman from late 1990s cinema. She was a survivor of a very public fall, attempting to redefine herself under unforgiving lights. In recent years, LisaRaye has spoken more candidly about self-worth, aging, and boundaries. Her later appearances suggest a shift toward moderation with fewer dramatic changes and a calmer public presence. She remains active in television, reality programming, and advocacy work, often emphasizing independence and self-respect over perfection. Her story is not one of excess, but of adaptation. Cosmetic speculation became a shorthand narrative for a woman whose life had already been rewritten without her consent. The contrast between then and now is less about beauty lost and more about innocence replaced by experience. LisaRaye McCoy's journey reminds us that transformation is rarely cosmetic alone. Sometimes it is armor, sometimes it is survival, and sometimes it is simply a woman choosing how she wants to face the world after it has already seen her fall. Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes did not enter entertainment quietly. She arrived like a force of nature. When The Real Housewives of Atlanta premiered in 2008, her presence immediately dominated the screen. She was outspoken, witty, emotionally raw, and impossible to ignore. Unlike traditional Hollywood stars, Nene's appeal came from authenticity rather than polish. Viewers recognized her as someone unfiltered, bold, and deeply human. As the show gained momentum, Nene became its central figure. By the early 2010s, she had expanded beyond reality television, landing roles on scripted series such as Glee and The New Normal. Her rise was rapid, and with it came intense visibility. Every gesture, expression, and appearance became part of a permanent public record. In 2010, Nene publicly confirmed undergoing rhinoplasty, explaining that the decision was meant to refine, not erase her features. Later procedures, including possible fillers and skin treatments, were never fully detailed, but Nene herself acknowledged continued cosmetic work over time. These admissions distinguished fact from rumor and underscored a key reality. Her changes were not secretive, but deliberate. As years passed, audiences noticed a transformation. Her facial contours appeared more sculpted, her skin smoother, and her expressions more restrained. Yet these changes coincided with profound personal hardship. Nene endured prolonged emotional strain during her husband Greg Leakes' battle with cancer, followed by his death in 2021. Grief, stress, and exhaustion are known to impact both physical appearance and decision-making. At that stage, cosmetic enhancement seemed to function as more than aesthetics. It became a way to maintain composure in a life slipping beyond control. When the world watches your pain in real time, how do you protect yourself without building armor? Public response was divided. Some fans felt disconnected from the woman they once knew, while others recognized the weight she was carrying. Critics often focused on how different she looked, rarely acknowledging what she had survived. This reaction highlighted an uncomfortable truth. Society is far more forgiving of emotional change than physical alteration, especially for women. In later years, Nene stepped back from the spotlight, choosing distance over constant exposure. Her more recent appearances reflect a calmer, more reserved presence. While she remains outspoken, there is a visible shift toward self-preservation rather than performance. Nene Leakes' story is not about losing identity. It is about evolution under pressure. The contrast between her early years and later appearance mirrors her journey from breakout star to grieving widow, from constant visibility to selective silence. Her legacy is complex, but undeniable. She reshaped reality television, proving that unfiltered Black women could lead mainstream programming without dilution. The conversation around her appearance often misses the larger picture. Transformation does not happen in a vacuum. Nene Leakes stands as a reminder that fame magnifies everything. Success, pain, and change alike. What we see on the surface is rarely the full story. Kim Fields. Kim Fields is a face that America grew up with. When she first appeared on The Facts of Life in the late 1970s, she wasn't just a child actress. She became a symbol of warmth, intelligence, and youthful optimism. With her bright eyes and natural smile, Tootie felt like someone viewers knew personally, a character woven into the fabric of everyday television. Unlike many former child stars, Fields approached adulthood with caution and purpose. She pursued higher education, chose her roles carefully and successfully, transitioned into adult television during the 1990s, with Living Single. Her portrayal of Regine Hunter showcased confidence, wit, and maturity. At that stage of her career, her appeal was rooted less in physical beauty and more in credibility. She felt authentic, relatable, and grounded. As time passed, the entertainment industry shifted its expectations. Aging became less forgiving, especially for women. In 2015, Kim Fields stepped into a radically different environment by joining The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Reality television exposed her to relentless comparison, high-definition cameras, harsh lighting, and constant scrutiny alongside cast members who openly embraced cosmetic enhancements. Following her appearance on the show, viewers began commenting on changes in her facial appearance. Some noted fuller cheeks or altered contours. However, it is important to be clear, Kim Fields has never publicly confirmed undergoing any specific cosmetic surgery, and no verified medical information exists. Much of the discussion was driven by visual comparison rather than confirmed fact. What made her situation unique was the burden of memory. Audiences weren't simply reacting to a woman aging, they were reacting to the difference between who she was and who they remembered her to be. Fields herself expressed discomfort with the reality TV setting. She spoke openly about feeling out of place and emotionally exposed. After just one season, she chose to step away. That decision reflected self-preservation rather than defeat. Her career had never depended on spectacle, and she was unwilling to reshape herself to meet expectations that no longer aligned with her values. In the years since, Kim Fields has focused on directing, producing, and faith-based projects. She has maintained a quieter public presence, prioritizing stability over visibility. When she does appear, she presents herself with calm confidence, no longer defined by comparison to her younger self. Kim Fields' story is not about beauty lost or youth reclaimed. It is about a woman who refused to remain frozen in time for the comfort of others. The contrast between then and now reflects growth, not decline. Aging, in her case, became an act of independence. Her journey invites a deeper reflection. Perhaps the real challenge is not aging in Hollywood, but convincing the audience that evolution is not something to fear. Tichina Arnold. Tichina Arnold built her career on presence rather than polish. From the moment audiences met her as Pam James on Martin in the 1990s, she stood out not because she fit Hollywood's traditional beauty mold, but because she owned every scene she entered. Her sharp timing, expressive face, and fearless delivery made her unforgettable. Pam was loud, funny, imperfect, and real, and Arnold's natural features amplified that authenticity. She continued that trajectory with Everybody Hates Chris portraying Rochelle, a strict yet deeply loving mother. By then, Arnold had become a symbol of relatability. Her appeal rested in warmth and expressiveness, not in glamour. She represented women who felt seen rather than idealized, and that connection carried her through decades of steady work. As the years passed, however, the industry's quiet recalibration began. Roles for women in their 40s became fewer, and visibility shifted toward younger faces. Around the mid-2010s, viewers started to notice changes in Arnold's appearance. A narrower nose, fuller facial areas, and a firmer overall look became points of online discussion. Arnold herself has never released a detailed account of cosmetic procedures, and there is no verified medical confirmation beyond speculation and visual comparison. What is documented, though, is the personal turbulence she endured during that period. In 2016, Arnold publicly addressed a deeply painful betrayal within her marriage, a moment that marked a major emotional turning point in her life. Such upheaval often coincides with a desire to regain control externally, if not internally. In her case, aesthetic adjustments appeared to coincide with reinvention. Hollywood has little tolerance for pause, grief, or vulnerability. For many women, especially those known for strong personalities rather than conventional beauty appearance, becomes a form of negotiation with relevance. When your world is shaken privately, how much pressure do you feel to look unchanged publicly? Audience reaction was mixed. Some fans expressed nostalgia for her earlier, more animated look, while others defended her right to evolve without explanation. The criticism rarely acknowledged the emotional context behind change. Instead, it focused on perceived loss, as if familiarity itself were something she owed the public. In recent years, Arnold's appearance has softened again, suggesting moderation and adjustment rather than escalation. She has remained active in television and film, often choosing projects that value character depth over surface appeal. Her performances still carry the same confidence, even as her public image continues to shift. Tichina Arnold's journey is not one of disappearance, but of endurance. The contrast between her early years and later appearances reflects an industry that struggles to make space for women who age honestly. Her talent never faded, only the lens through which she was viewed changed. Her story asks a quiet but important question: do we miss the woman herself, or do we miss the version of her that made us comfortable? In choosing to continue on her own terms, Tichina Arnold reminds us that authenticity does not vanish with time. It simply takes a different shape. Trina McGee. Trina McGee entered American pop culture quietly, but with a lasting impact. When she joined Boy Meets World in the late 1990s as Angela Moore, she brought something rare to network television at the time: an image of black womanhood that was intelligent, composed, and emotionally grounded. Her beauty was subtle rather than flashy, marked by expressive eyes and a calm confidence that resonated deeply with viewers. Angela Moore quickly became more than a supporting character. She represented maturity, thoughtfulness, and balance, offering a contrast to the louder archetypes often assigned to Black women on television. For many fans, Trina McGee embodied the ideal first love, graceful, articulate, and steady. That image became frozen in time as the series ended and the spotlight moved on. After Boy Meets World, McGee's career slowed significantly. Like many actresses approaching their late 30s and 40s, she encountered an industry with limited interest in women who did not fit a narrowly defined youth standard. Roles became scarce, and public visibility faded. In later years, when she reappeared at events or interviews, audiences began to notice changes in her facial appearance. Some observers pointed to a more refined nose, tighter skin, and a wider-eyed look. However, it is essential to be precise. Trina McGee has never publicly confirmed specific cosmetic surgeries, nor do verified medical records exist. What fueled discussion was comparison between the remembered image of Angela Moore and a woman who had lived 2 more decades. The deeper issue was not appearance, but absence. When someone disappears from mainstream media and later returns, the contrast feels sharper. Aging becomes more noticeable when it happens off-camera. In recent years, McGee has spoken candidly about personal struggles, professional isolation, and feeling overlooked by the industry. Her openness reframed earlier judgments, revealing a woman navigating rejection, financial instability, and emotional exhaustion. In such circumstances, the temptation to alter one's appearance can stem from survival rather than vanity. Public response has often been bittersweet. Fans expressed sadness not because she aged, but because they sensed loss of opportunity, of momentum, of recognition. Yet that sadness is misplaced if it overlooks the systemic forces at work. Hollywood rarely creates second acts for women whose fame arrived quietly instead of explosively. In 2023, Trina McGee reunited with her former castmates during Boy Meets World revival discussions and convention appearances. These moments reminded audiences of her talent and warmth, shifting focus away from surface details and back to her contribution. Her presence felt reflective rather than performative, grounded rather than nostalgic. Trina McGee's story is not about transformation gone wrong. It is about visibility denied and the emotional cost of trying to re-enter a world that moved on without notice. The contrast between then and now reflects not failure, but endurance. Her journey challenges viewers to reconsider what we expect from those who once meant something to us. Perhaps the real tragedy is not how she looks today, but how easily we forgot to look for her at all. LaToya Jackson. LaToya Jackson's life has never belonged entirely to her. Born into one of the most famous families in music history, she grew up under constant surveillance, comparison, and expectation. As a member of the Jackson family, her identity was shaped early by proximity to extraordinary fame, but also by the pressure to distinguish herself within it. From the start, visibility came with a cost. In the late 1970s and 1980s, LaToya was known for her striking features and statuesque presence. She pursued a music and television career that, while never rivaling that of her siblings, established her as a recognizable public figure. During this period, her appearance reflected the natural aesthetics of the era: soft facial lines, expressive eyes, and a look closely aligned with her family resemblance. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, noticeable changes began to emerge. LaToya has publicly acknowledged undergoing cosmetic procedures, including rhinoplasty, making her one of the few celebrities to speak openly about repeated surgical alteration. These decisions coincided with a deeply troubled chapter of her life. She later revealed that she was in an abusive and controlling marriage during which many of her personal and professional choices were not fully her own. In this context, cosmetic surgery took on a meaning beyond appearance. It became intertwined with identity control and escape. Altering her face was not simply about beauty, it was about distancing herself from pain, family expectations, and a reality she felt trapped inside. If your life feels hijacked, wouldn't changing your reflection seem like a way to reclaim it? Over time, the cumulative effect of these procedures became more pronounced. Sharper contours altered proportions, and a more rigid expression shifted public perception dramatically. Media coverage often reduced her to visual shock value, overlooking the circumstances that shaped those changes. Her face became a topic of curiosity while her story was largely ignored. After leaving her marriage in the late 1990s, LaToya slowly regained autonomy. Yet the physical markers of that era remained. Even as she rebuilt her life, the public continued to associate her appearance with excess rather than survival. Unlike her siblings, whose transformations were often contextualized with sympathy, LaToya was frequently framed as an anomaly. In recent years, she has maintained a calmer, more controlled public presence. While her appearance still reflects past interventions, her demeanor suggests stability and self-awareness. She speaks openly about healing, independence, and personal boundaries topics that were absent from her earlier narrative. LaToya Jackson's story is not about vanity spiraling out of control. It is about what happens when personal trauma collides with lifelong exposure. The contrast between then and now is not simply cosmetic. It is psychological, emotional, and deeply human. Her journey forces a difficult reconsideration. Sometimes the face people criticize is the same face that endured what no one else saw. And survival, even when visible, deserves understanding rather than spectacle. Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle is not merely a performer, she is a living institution. Emerging in the early 1960s as the lead singer of Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, she built a career that spans more than 6 decades. Her voice, powerful, elastic, and unmistakably soulful, has long been regarded as one of the greatest in American music. Long before image-driven celebrity culture took hold, LaBelle commanded stages through sound alone. In her earlier years, Patti's appearance reflected warmth and expressiveness. Her face moved freely with emotion, amplifying every note she sang. Whether performing Lady Marmalade or delivering gospel-infused ballads, her visual presence enhanced the storytelling. Beauty, in her case, was never about symmetry, it was about feeling. As the years progressed and the entertainment industry grew increasingly youth-obsessed, even legends were not immune to pressure. During the mid-2000s, fans began noticing changes in LaBelle's facial appearance. A firmer forehead, altered contours, and reduced flexibility became noticeable during public appearances. Patti LaBelle has never released detailed medical explanations, but she has never denied the use of cosmetic procedures either. No credible evidence suggests excessive or ongoing surgical intervention, only that some aesthetic adjustments were made. What makes her situation unique is timing. LaBelle was already an icon when these changes appeared. She did not need reinvention to remain relevant. Her legacy was secure. And yet the visual shift became a talking point, often overshadowing her continued vocal excellence. This raises a difficult question about cultural expectation. Despite speculation around her appearance, one truth remains constant. Patti LaBelle's voice has not diminished. Even into her late 70s and early 80s, she continues to perform live, demonstrating range and control that many younger artists struggle to achieve. Audiences still rise to their feet, not for how she looks, but for how she sounds. Some fans have expressed sadness, not judgment, noting that her face no longer mirrors the emotional freedom it once displayed. Yet that observation says more about what people expect from aging women than about LaBelle herself. Male performers of the same generation are often praised for aging gracefully, while women are quietly penalized for any visible change. In recent years, Patti LaBelle has leaned further into legacy. She has expanded into business ventures, television appearances, and mentorship, embracing her role as a cultural elder rather than chasing illusion. Her public demeanor reflects confidence and authority, not insecurity. Patti LaBelle's story is not one of beauty lost. It is one of priorities clarified. The contrast between then and now does not measure decline. It highlights endurance. While faces change with time, voices carry history, and hers carries generations. In the end, Patti LaBelle challenges a shallow narrative. She reminds us that aging is not a failure, and evolution is not a betrayal of the past. True greatness does not freeze itself to be remembered. It moves forward unapologetically and sings anyway. These stories leave us with an uncomfortable truth. The real issue may not be cosmetic procedures, but a culture that punishes Black women for aging while demanding perfection at every stage of life. When beauty becomes a requirement for survival, choice is no longer entirely free. Were these women chasing vanity or responding to an industry that quietly closes doors once youth fades? Perhaps the question we should ask is not why they changed, but why they felt they had to. As viewers, are we witnessing decline, or are we complicit in the pressure that shaped it?